that there's two dimensions to the human being. We have the inside and the outside, and you don't need to be a Kabbalist to know this. And I'm not talking biologically. I'm talking about just our activities or our being. There are two modalities. There's the inner life that we all live, and then there's the outer life that we live. And sometimes they're not always 100% consistent. And sometimes that could be not good, and sometimes that can be the most amazing thing ever. And let me explain what I mean by that. People are always people always have a hesitation about being hypocritical. No one wants to be hypocritical. Like, oh wait, that would make me a hypocrite, and that sounds like a bad thing. I will tell you that sometimes being a hypocrite is the best thing you can do. It's fantastic. Let me give you a scenario. Imagine if you really don't like that person and you want to say something really nasty. Yeah? You know what it means to be a hypocrite? It means to say something nice nonetheless. If you can muster the courage, and I use that word very intentionally, if you can muster the courage to maintain a positive or a cordial disposition toward another, even when maybe you're not so keen on them, guess what? That doesn't make you hypocritical. That makes you a mensch. In Jewish, we would call that a mensch. A mensch means that you have the ability to bypass your nature, your instinct, your inner feeling, your mood, and act in the right way. So this is a scenario in which behavior, the outside, and feeling, the inside, are not congruent, they're not matching, and that's a good thing in this scenario. So let me explain what I mean by inside and outside. Inside is how you feel. Outside is what you do. And they're not always the same thing. You're right. You might feel you're driving. You have somewhere important to get to. You might not want to stop at the red light, but you're going to stop. I mean, I hope you're going to stop, right? Safety first. If you stop when you don't want to stop, Mark, please stop at the red lights. Mark will be our designated driver for the analogy. We're going to use a lot of, because Mark is in the car and we're all watching Mark drive. So what we're going to do, at least I am, so number one, keep your eye on the wheel. Number two, we'll use some driving analogies. So when it comes to driving, right? So you don't want to stop. You want to keep on going. But there's a red light. So what do? You stop. That's an example of outside versus inside. Inside, you want to keep on going. Outside, in other words, in the realm of action, you're actually stopping. So your behavior and your feelings are not in the same place. And in this case, it's actually okay and it's a blessing. We tell our kids, you want to bop the other kid over the head with the toy that they took from you. Okay, you want to do that, but please don't. Or not please. Well, also please, but don't. You can't do that. You cannot bop the other kid on the head with a toy just because you got upset. That's not a proper way to act. So we often hold ourselves and others accountable to this very dichotomy or duality. The duality, the distinction between how you feel and how you're behaving, inside outside. Who wrote the book Inside Outside? Was that was that Elie Wiesel who wrote Inside Outside, or Herman Wouk who wrote Inside Outside? No? All right. Someone Google it and let me know in the chat. Inside/outside. Okay, fine. I'm awaiting on the answer. Let's get all the Googlers out there Googling. All right? Come on. I'm waiting for it. Herman Wouk. See, my wife is guys, come on. You had one job, and my wife already beat you to it. Leia's already ahead of the game. Okay, but nonetheless, I still love you guys, and we're still going to continue with the class. Don't worry. We're going to continue with the class. So, inside and outside. Inside is how you feel. Inside is also how you think. Your ideas. But guess what? You might have ideas and philosophies, but when it comes to the realm of action, you can act differently than those thoughts. And you could either do so in a negative way or in a positive way. An example, the famous Talmudic example of the thief who believes in God and prays to God to not get caught while he's breaking into a home in violation of God's will. That's an example of somebody who has certain ideas and beliefs, but the actions are inconsistent. That's a negative example. Positive example would be if you believe something or other or whatever, you're not sure about something or other, or another, and you still go ahead with it because you know it's because at the end of the day it's the right thing to do. That's a situation where thank you Bethany. That's a situation where you're one of my ninja Googlers. So that's a situation where acting inconsistent is a good thing. Are you with me so far in the inconsistency? Yes, yes. Okay, it could be good, bad, or ugly. Hopefully it's good. This is one of the major tenets of Tanya. One of the major ideas of Tanya, and this is like one of the bankable teachings. Like, there's something you can go home with and live your life with this one. Just this one idea is that our feelings do not have to be linked to our actions. That's one of the major ideas of Tanya. And he says, you might be not in the mood, you might be tired, you might be hungry, you might be angry, you might be sad, you might be confused. It doesn't matter. Do the mitzvah. Do it anyway, right? Just do it. Just get the right thing done. It doesn't matter how you feel. You'll work on your feelings later. Just do it. That's a major idea of Tanya. And that's like the first 2/3 of Tanya. Not that it's only about that, but a lot of it is about that. You don't have to be a perfect tzaddik wanting to do the right thing all the time. To be holy, you can feel conflicted and still do the right thing, and you're still holy. And that's called a Beinoni. Beinoni is somebody who inside is conflicted, ambivalent. On the outside, doing the right thing. Outside meaning in the realm of action. So that's the discussion of the first 2/3 of Tanya, the book of Tanya. But at the end, and these are the chapters that we're studying right now, he talks about how to move the insides toward the outsides, right? How to get more on board, how to get more excited emotionally about doing the right thing, how to fall in love with God, so that you're not just doing the mitzvah because you're doing it, but you feel excited about doing it, or you feel some sort of reverence while you're doing it. So action is king. We live in a world of action. If we lived in a world of theory, wonderful. But we don't live in a world of philosophy. We live in the world of action. And because we live in the world of action, what we do ultimately matters. If somebody's hungry and they need food, the fact that you weren't sure if you should give it to them doesn't really make a difference as long as you give them the food. So give the food and you save the life. And it doesn't matter how you felt about it. I mean, it's nicer to give with a smile. And it's nice for you if you're on board with it. And that makes the actions that much more powerful on some level. But at the end of the day, you get it done either way. But in the last dozen or so chapters of the book of Tanya, he talks about how to align our emotions more with our actions, assuming that we've already taken the advice of the first 2/3 of Tanya and are doing the right thing irrespective of how we feel, assuming that's the case. Right? So now how do we work on the insides to get them more on board with the outside behavior? It's kind of like, anybody drive a clutch car? Yes? Clutch, manual, shift? Yes? By raise of hand? I don't. I tried and I failed miserably. So we were in South Africa and we were on the little cul-de-sac where my in-laws live, and I get into my father-in-law's car, and Leigh and I were just married, and this is like, oh cool, I get a chance to try a clutch car. I've never heard a machine make such terrible noises. It was please stop. It was telling me through the groans of the car, just let your wife drive. So I did. But anyway, my understanding is, because I don't have much experience other than that not great attempt. Mark, are you driving manual or automatic? You know what? Thumbs up if it's automatic. Oh, thumbs up if it's manual. No thumbs up. All right, I guess it's the third option, which is the Flintstones car. Remember that one with the feet? Okay.
Self-driving.
Huh?
Self-driving.
Yes, self-driving. That's true.
Does anyone?
Oh, wait, hold on. You cut out, Linda.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Does anyone drive a clutch anymore? Do they even exist?
I know that. Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Oh wow! I learned to drive on a clutch. Wow.
You know what? It's maybe something that I should do at some point. So, sounds like an adventure. No, why not? Anyway, my understanding is if sometimes the clutch of your car can stall, and one way to get it started again kick is if you get it rolling a little bit down a hill. I wouldn't say go on that San Francisco hill, where it goes back, but you can get it started on an incline.
You can.
And as it gets rolling, that will kick in.
The clutch.
Yeah, and that's a major idea. That's a major idea in the book of Tanya, which is if you're not that excited, all right, so just do it. And once you do it, your behavior will encourage your mood sometimes. It can work. You can reverse engineer it. So we typically think if you're excited, then you're going to do it. If you're not excited, you're not going to do it. That's true on some level. But Tanya tells us, do it anyway, because it's the right thing to do. God needs it. The other person needs it. You need it, even if you don't want to do it. It's good for you. It's good for the world. And once you do it, maybe you're going to get more excited about it. And of course, we know, as we've been discussing, we have all these wonderful meditations to help us get more excited about doing the right thing. And the premise of all of this is that although a mitzvah is doing the mitzvah, action is king, right? Action is the primary thing. Hamaitza hua ikr, that's the main thing. Nonetheless, if you want your action, as I mentioned before, to soar, you need wings. Like a bird needs wings, 2 wings, right and left. Chesed, gvura, ava, yira, love on the right side. Respect, reverence on the left side, and that will make your good action soar. So today, we're going to look at more meditations. And these are meditations vis-a-vis love. This is chapter 44. I am excited to begin. Share my screen. Any questions or comments on what we just discussed? No? Any questions about driving clutch vehicles? I'll turn it over to my wife, and she'll... No? Okay, fine. So let's jump in. Chapter 44. Boom, shakalaka. All right, tell me if you can see my screen. Yes? Chapter 44? Yes? I need 1 thumbs up. Okay, thank you, David. All right, here we go. We're starting from, remember, the italicized English text is the translation of the Hebrew. The smaller non-italicized text like this, that is the publication's editions. By the way, this is parenthetical, and we may not get to it tonight. In preparing for this class, I actually noticed what I am 99% sure is a pretty significant mistake in the translation. Now, understand this is a book, Lessons in Tanya, that's been published for many years. I am to the point that I actually meant to take a picture and send it to my old team back at the publishing house in Brooklyn. I'm like, there's no way that it's not a mistake in the translation, in my opinion. But I don't know that we're going to get to it today. When we get to it, I will point it out, and you can be the judge for yourself. Let's jump right in. Each of these 2 grades. Here we go. Each of the 2 grades of love. Now we have to work back with our memory, right? The ones that we talked about in chapter 43. Namely, Ahava Rabba and Ahavat Olam. Let me explain before we continue after the M dash. Ahava Rabba means great love, and it was a reference to a love of God that is a gift from above. It's not something that you and I can attain through meditation or through work. It's something that at some point a person is either blessed with or not blessed with, but when they are blessed with, they have this just incredible sense of loving on God. The second, Ahavat Olam, is one born of meditation by looking at the world around us and all that God has done for us and for creation. And it's a meditation-induced love. Oh, 1 second. I know I'm right in the middle of the first line here of Tanya, but I have to mention, speaking about meditation, there is a rabbi from Australia who is just incredible with meditation, spiritual meditations. A Kabbalist. He wrote a book called Practical Kabbalah. His name is Rabbi Label Wolf. Anybody familiar with the name Rabbi Label Wolf? Yes? Okay. I just, in the last 48 hours, I just secured 2 dates with Rabbi Wolf back to back, 2 weeks apart, like a week apart. 2 sessions, spirituality and meditation, and that is coming up, I think, right after the holidays. Oh, both are everlasting love. Yeah, Ahavat Olam. Right. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so Label Wolf will be with us. Anyway, I just thought of meditation. I thought I'd mention him. Now let's get back into our Tanya. So we have 2 forms of love: Ahava Rabba and Ahavat Olam, which is this immense gift love, as well as the love that is induced by meditation. So each of these 2 grades of love, let's continue inside, is subdivided into limitless shades and gradations, in each individual according to his or her spiritual capacity. Let me explain what he's saying here. Although we have two general categories of love, it doesn't mean that it's, well, this type or that type and you fit into a box. Everybody experiences a love or a feeling, an emotion toward God different than the other person. Because it's not just, this box or that box. There are an infinite number, limitless shades and gradations of love, everyone according to their own capacity, in others, according to their own level of meditation and emotions. And he supports it by something that is written in the Zohar, the Holy Zohar, which is one of the primary works of Kabbalah, of Jewish mysticism. As it is written in the Holy Zohar, on the verse, Noda Basha'arim Baila. This is a verse that comes from Mishlei Proverbs, written by King Solomon, from the Eshet Chayil, the Woman of Valor ode, that is traditionally recited Friday night before the Kiddush blessing. So it says, Noda, highlight the Hebrew, Basha'arim Baila, which is translated as her husband is known in the gate. So we're speaking about the Woman of Valor. She's such a prominent woman, and her husband is also, he's known in the gates, everyone knows him. So that's the verse. What does the Zohar say? What does Kabbalah say on this? It says that this refers to God. Who's the husband? Again, Kabbalah is going to give you a different angle on everything. Kabbalah says, who's the husband? So the husband refers to the Holy One, blessed be He, so called since He is the husband of the congregation of Israel. In other words, the soul is feminine, she, and who is the soul's husband? It's God. What does it mean that her husband, the soul's husband, is known in the gates? So Kabbalah says it means that God is the one who makes himself known. Noda makes himself known and attaches himself to everyone according to the extent which one measures in one's heart. Measures being the important word here. And again, if you're familiar with the Hebrew, Noda, Basha'arim, Baila is husband. So God is known based on Sha'arim. Sha'arim could mean gates, or Shir could mean measurement. So based on a person's capacity or measurement, meditative capacity, emotional capacity, investment capacity of energy and effort and attention span, etc., etc., etc. Based on all of those capacities and measures, that is the extent to which one knows and feels something about God. Okay? Let's continue inside. Therefore, he says, fear and love are called the secret things known to the Lord our God. In other words, who knows how much you love or fear God? Only God knows this. These are secret things that are known only to God. No one can perceive inside someone else's heart. So if you're looking at someone else, there is no way to know how much or how little they love or fear God. It's not something that is perceivable to the human eye, to the eye that perceives things from the outside in. It's something that's inside one's heart. Who knows what that is? The person and God. That's it. Let's contrast that with something else. While the Torah and mitzvot are those things which are revealed to us and to our children to do. What that means is, when it comes to Torah and mitzvot, that's easier to measure, right? There's a mitzvah to eat matzah on Passover. So I eat matzah, you eat matzah, we all ate the same matzah. Even if you ate, a different kind of matzah, the bottom line is, you ate matzah, I ate matzah, he ate matzah, she ate matzah, we all ate matzah. Right? Matzah's matzah. What are you going to do? It still tastes crummy. All puns intended. Are you with me on that? Good. So, is that the box, or is it another wonderful story from South Africa? Tonight's theme is South Africa stories. My wife tells me, and I've mentioned this story before, that she was once at her, growing up with her family at a Seder. There was a guest who put their korach sandwich. He put the 2 pieces of matzah and the lettuce and the maror and the horseradish and the maror, horseradish, romaine lettuce, whatever, and the charoset inside. And you eat it. So they put a napkin underneath so that nothing would fall down and make a mess. But when they were done eating the sandwich, they looked at the napkin and there was a hole in the napkin. That can happen only when you're eating matzah, because what other food doesn't really distinguish between the napkin and between the matzah and the napkin that's holding it. But I digress. When you and I are eating matzah, it's the same mitzvah. We're both doing the mitzvah equally. There's no distinction between the mitzvahs. It's not like, I ate better matzah, or I ate matzah better than you, or I heard the shofar better than you. It's not first of all, not that we would do that anyway, but the point is you can't rank, shofar hearings. You heard it or you didn't hear it. It's like, but when it comes to that's the outside stuff, right? You did it or you didn't do it. If you did it, you did it. Done. But when it comes to the inside stuff, when it comes to the wings, when it comes to the emotions, now there are distinctions. And this is for no one else to judge. Only you know and only God knows. But it's inside, it's not outside, it's an inside reality. So you do a mitzvah, you're eating matzah. I'm eating matzah. We're both eating matzah. The question is, how do we feel about the matzah? What's the meditation like? What is the emotion like? And that, Noda Basha'ar and Ba'ala, God is known to each person individually. No two people have, on that level, the same relationship to God. When it comes to a behavioral level, two people could have the same relationship with God. This person lights Shabbat candles, this person lights Shabbat candles. This person ate matzah, that person ate matzah. This person heard the shofar, that person heard the shofar. So on the outside behavioral level, there's equivalency. When it comes to the inside, no two people are alike in how they think about God, how they feel about God, how enthused they are about doing the mitzvah, how respectful they are in doing the mitzvah. That is where a person gives their own personal imprint on the experience. That would be the fingerprint of the mitzvah. So, the same thing is true with prayer, for example. Let's say you have a congregation in good times, right? Not COVID times, when social distancing and whatever. Now, let's talk about a scenario where you have 100 people, 200 people, 500 people in a synagogue all praying together. And it's beautiful. It's lovely, and it's amazing, and it's powerful, and they're all reading the same words from the prayer book. So on an outside level, on an external level, on a behavioral level, everyone's doing the same thing. But inside, on an internal level, right? What's the experience like for everyone praying? It's going to be necessarily different for everybody. Everyone has a different intention and a different feeling as they are reciting the prayers, and that's a good thing. So I mentioned before the distinctions between inside and outside. Outside is, get the job done. Inside is, either you feel it or you don't feel it. We should work on feeling it. But now we have another distinction between the two. That necessarily outside creates equivalency. In other words, behavior, there's an equivalency there. You did it, I did it. But when it comes to the inside stuff, that actually creates dissimilarity, or, which is not, in this case, a negative, it's a positive. It creates a unique experience. So we can all be praying from the same book, and it's different. We can all be wrapping tefillin, and it's different. We could all be enjoying a Seder together, but it's a different experience, and it's necessarily a different experience because no two people are alike. Make sense so far? Yes? So far, so good? Okay. Or I should say, shofar, so good? You know what? I say these jokes, but I always hate to point it out because I don't want to toot my own horn. Now, let's get back. Let's get back inside. So the equivalency happens. The equalizers are the action-oriented mitzvot. For we all have one Torah and one law. Okay, there's only one Torah. There's only one law. Shofar is shofar. Matzah is matzah. Insofar as the fulfillment of all the Torah mitzvot and natural performance is concerned. So when it comes to doing, when it comes to action, when it comes to the outside activities, it's all the same. However, it is otherwise with fear and love. When it comes to the inside stuff, the emotions, your experience, your meditation, radically different. That varies according to the knowledge of God in the mind and heart, as we explained earlier in chapter 42. Okay, so what we've established so far, as we're wading into the vast and delicious ocean of Tanya, of chapter 44. So the opening idea, as we jump in, is the difference between doing a mitzvah and how you feel about the mitzvah. You do it, great. Primary thing is doing it, obviously, as we said before, and it's the equalizer. Feeling it, those are the wings, and that will be different for every person. Now, let's continue. Here we go. Yet, here we go. Take a look at this. Yet, there is one singular and unique love, which incorporates something of all the distinctions and gradations of both Ava Rabbah, the great supernal love, and Avat Olam, the meditative love. One second. and is found equally in every Jewish soul as our inheritance from our patriarchs. So what he's saying is, although love and fear are different in everybody, there is one type of love that can be equivalent for everybody. And what is that? Now we're all waiting with bated breath. What is it? What is it? What is it? Here we go. And that is what the Zohar, once again quoting the Zohar, that is what the Zohar says in the verse, Nafshi ivisicha balayla, my soul, I desire you at night. Now, we got to break down this verse, but let's first read it one more time. The verse says, this verse is from Yeshayahu, Isaiah. So in the book of Isaiah, chapter 26, verse 9, it says, Nafshi, my soul, ivisicha, I desire you, balayla, at night. I desire you, my soul, at night. What does that mean? So, on a simple level, you would think a person is saying that at night, maybe when I'm sleeping, maybe before I go to sleep, I desire my soul. Maybe I'm thinking about life. As I go to sleep, I'm thinking about waking up in the morning. So I desire my soul at night. Okay. Problem is, that's not what the verse says. I'm going to highlight the verse, and I hope the blue doesn't throw you off. I just want to make sure that we're all focused on the same few words here. It says, my soul, I desire you at night. Now, the question that he's going to ask is, it could have just said, my soul, I desire at night. We don't need the word you. Are you with me on that? Let's imagine the word you is gone. My soul, I desire at night. Perfect. My soul, I desire at night. That makes sense. It means I desire my soul at night. Or, let's say you omitted the first words, my soul. So you could have just read, I desire you at night, and you would be euphemistically understood to refer to the soul. But it's weird because it says, my soul, I desire you at night. Who's the you? Is it my soul? Then it's redundant. What's going on here? So he comes along, the Alter Rebbe comes along with just a powerful interpretation. Sorry, this is what the Zohar says. He's quoting the Zohar, and it's a bombshell. And what the Zoharic, the Kabbalistic interpretation on this verse from Isaiah is that my soul and you are two different entities. My soul and you are different. In other words, here, you know what? This is actually, I want to read these notes because it helps over here. The Zohar notes that the verse is grammatically anomalous. In other words, it's weird. It doesn't read right. It should either say my soul desires you or I desire you. What's going on? Therefore, the Zohar explains that my soul, take a look at this. My soul refers to God, the soul of all beings. In effect, the Jew says to God, you are my soul, therefore I desire you. So it's actually, my apologies, it's actually the same subject, but it makes sense why it's repeated twice. So let's look at the verse, and based on what we just read in that kind of explanation, let's reread it. My soul, God, you are my soul, you are my life, you are the life force of, because I realize how critical you are to everything, to existence itself. Therefore, that is why I am so in love, I'm so infatuated with you. Take a look. And this is a quote from the Zohar. You can see the quotation marks. One should love God with a love of the soul and the spirit as they are attached to the body and the body loves them. Let me explain. Hold on before we go further. Just like he says, just like the body loves the soul. Okay, I guess I should ask it as a question. Do you think your body loves your soul? Maybe it doesn't realize it, but absolutely your body loves your soul. Why? Because your body wants to be alive. It wants to take another breath, right? And if it does, the only way it can do that is with the soul, because the soul gives the body life. Therefore, by default, automatically, the body loves the soul. So what the Zohar is saying is one should love God the same way the body loves the soul. Why? Because God is the soul of the universe. This is the interpretation of the verse, my soul, I desire you, which means, since you, God, are my true soul and life, therefore, I desire you. That is to say, Okay, so before we get there, in short, this is the next meditation. And we referenced it actually before, a few weeks ago, but here he develops it further. What is the meditation? It goes like this. I love my soul because my soul is what gives me life and I like to live. So I like my soul. In the same way, I love God. Why? Because God is the soul of everything that exists. God is the soul of me. My soul comes from God. God is the soul of the mountain, of the river, of the ocean, of the trees. God is the soul of everything that exists. Therefore, as I love my soul, I love my God. Okay, let's continue. That is to say, back inside, I long and yearn for you like a man who craves the life of his soul. Just like a person loves life, so a person loves God. Oh, yeah. And check out this line. And when he is weak and exhausted, he longs and yearns for his soul to revive in him, literally to return to him. I'm going to give you an example. And this is a harsher example than he gives here. He talks about weak and exhausted. I'm going to give you a real example. A real life, not a positive example, a negative example. Say a person, God forbid, encounters an illness. Yeah? And the first thing that comes to their mind when they encounter the illness is, I don't want to go. I want to live. Can you see that? Nod your head if yes. Can you see that as a reasonable response to encountering mortality? Is the desire to live? Yes? Yes? I think it's reasonable. I think it's very reasonable. Yeah. Imagine then, just like a person in that moment of weakness, or God forbid illness, the person has a fierce desire and a craving to live and to be healthy. In the same way, a person can have a fierce desire to connect with God when that connection gets weakened. When a person encounters, remember, at night. Remember the verse? My soul, I desire you at night. Why night? Because at night is when we're weakened. It's a state of spiritual weakness. When a person finds themselves spiritually weak. What I mean by that, let me clarify what I mean by that. It means that for whatever reason, the person is in a vulnerable state spiritually. They're not firing on all the spiritual cylinders. They feel like they're missing something, or their faith is not so strong, or their connection is not so strong for whatever reason. We're not talking about the reasons for it, but the reality of the state. So just like when a person is confronted with their own mortality, they don't say, oh well, it was a good run. No, they fight for life. We fight for good health. We fight for that revival of spirit. So too, the Zohar says, when a person encounters a spiritual challenge, we fight for that connection with God. We fight for that reality. We fight for that connection. Okay. Likewise. Oh, he's giving another physical example. Or when we go to sleep. Likewise. So not just when a person is weak and exhausted does he or she desire life, but also even when we go to sleep at night. Likewise, when he goes to sleep, let's skip that. He longs and yearns for his soul to be restored to him when he awakens from sleep. Right? So, really the paragraph break should have been over here, in my opinion, because that was all the example, and now we're going to get back to the analog. But so just that blue line that I just drew, consider that to be the paragraph break. So we have, in the human example, different scenarios in which a person really feels the need to have their soul revived. If a person is weak or exhausted, the example that I gave, confronted with illness, God forbid, or even when a person goes to sleep at night and they're thinking, I really would like to wake up in the morning, right? In all those scenarios, a person realizes that their body is not the be-all and end-all. The body is frail, and they really want that life force, that soul, to be connected with them. And he says the same thing is true. We can meditate and come to the same place with regards to God. So, in the same way, do I long and yearn, check this out, to draw within, to elicit within me the infinite light of the blessed Ein Sof, the life of true life, through engaging in the study of Torah when I awaken, during the night from my sleep. For the Torah and the Holy One, blessed be He, are one and the same. So a person can have the same meditation in the spiritual night. Whether it's euphemistically or literally. When a person goes to sleep, a person might think, when I wake up in the morning, I want to reconnect not just with my soul by waking up in the morning, right, which is also a good thing, but also I want to reconnect with the soul of all souls, with God Almighty. And how am I going to do that? Tomorrow morning when I wake up, part of my morning repertoire, my morning ritual is Torah study. Why? Because Torah study is how I connect with God, because God invested himself in Torah. In the language of Kabbalah, Torah and God are one and the same. In other words, it's connecting with God when we connect with Torah. And indeed, this is the Kabbalistic wisdom of the Zohar, the advice of the Zohar. So the Zohar says, out of love for God, for the Holy Basvihi, a man should rise each night and exert himself in his service until the morning. Look at that. It says, don't even wait till the morning. So excited about connecting with God, with the soul of all souls, that even before it gets light outside, you're waking up while it's still night to study some extra Torah. That's incredible. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Where's it coming from? It's coming from love, right? If you're not in love, you'll just do what you need to do to discharge your obligation. I have to study some Torah each day, I'm going to study Torah each day. But when you're in love, you do things that are a little meshugah, including you wake up in the middle of the night to study some Torah. Why? Because you can't get enough of it. You're crazy about it. Just like you're crazy about life. You're crazy about the source of life, which is God. All right, that's love number one. Let's talk about love number two. Let me check in. Make sense? Let me stop sharing for a moment so I can see you all in my Brady Bunch configuration. Make sense? Yes? Oh, Mark, you've arrived. Look at that. Mazel tov. Just a moment ago, you were on the road. Good. I'm glad you made it home safely. Yes, we got the meditation. Simple meditation. Just like I love my soul, my life, I love the soul of all life, which is God, or the life of all beings, which is God. Okay. Next, let's talk about another form of love, which is an even higher level. Give me a moment as I share my screen once again. Okay, a greater and more intense love than this, so this is upping the old ante, is, and it's a love that's likewise concealed in every soul of Israel as an inheritance from our ancestors. By the way, I need to comment on that. This line right here, he often comes back to it in Tanya. And what the intention of this is that this is within the capacity of each one of us to attain. Don't think like, well, I'm never going to get there. Like, I can't do it. He's like, no. You got it inside you. You can do this. You can get this. You got this. It's your inheritance. You can develop this love if you just do a little bit of the work of the meditation and get your thoughts in order and know what to think about. This is achievable. It's like I explained a few weeks ago the difference between looking for something that might be there versus looking for something that you know is there. Like if you have one of those metal detectors on the beach, you might find something, you might not find something. You're not going to dig all day, right, on the chance that maybe you'll find some coins or treasure. I mean, that seems silly. But if somebody drops their wedding ring, right, or a precious coin into the sand, and they just dropped it, and now they're looking around for it, they can't find it, they know it's there, they're going to keep on digging. So the point is that we all have this capacity for love of God inside of us. Therefore, the message is keep on digging and meditating until it catches. It's not if possibly you might get this love. It's inside of you. That's what he says. Okay, what's the greater, more intense love that's also inside of us? So is that which is defined in Raya Mehemna. Okay, Raya Mehemna means faithful shepherd, and it's a description of Kabbalah of the spiritual level of Moses, who's known as the Raya Mehemna, the faithful shepherd. I mean, the greatest Jewish leader who was dedicated to the Jewish people was Moses. So the Kabbalistic work that explains his level of spirituality is called Raya Mehemna. I highlighted it right here. So it says over there the following, that what was the level of Moses' love of God? It's like a son, like a child, who strives for the sake of his father and mother, whom he loves even more than his own body, soul, and spirit. Talk about a child. Halavai, we should all have such kids, right? What are we talking about here? A child who operates, who does for the sake of his father and mother. In other words, it's what would my father and mother want me to do? How can I do something for them? And he loves them even more than his own body, soul, and spirit. Talk about an incredible level of love from a child to a parent. By the way, the quote is cut off here. It's not cut off. He says etc. But in this edition of Tanya, it actually fills in what was cut out, or what the etc. refers to. And he sacrifices his life for his father and mother in order to redeem them from captivity. If they are, God forbid, in harm's way, this son loves them more than his own body. He will put his own life on the line to rescue them and to save them. That's the type of love that he has. Now, the Rai Mehemna, the book of Kabbalah, says that's how much Moses loved God. Moses loved God more than his own self-love. Understand this. This is higher than the previous level of love. I'm commenting here, right? This is loving God more than you love yourself. The previous level of love was loving God as you like yourself. I hope that's clear. The previous meditation was, just like you love your soul, you should love God, who is the macrocosmic soul of the universe. Okay, but that's an equivalent love. You love self, love God. This is loving God more than you love yourself. As much as you love yourself, that pales in comparison to the love that you have, or Moses had, for God. Like a child who loves his parents, not because he loves himself. That would be the previous level of love. Let me translate it to the parent-child analogy, or paradigm. You know what that would look like? A child who says, I love myself, and in order to have what I need or what I want, I need my parents around. Therefore, I love my parents as they feed me or clothe me or take care of me. That's why I love them. It's a self-oriented love, not a bad thing, but it's based on loving self. That's the basis of the love. This second love is not based on self. It's based on God, based on the parent. The child loves the parent more than they love themselves. It's not about them. It's about the parent. They're willing to sacrifice their own life for father and mother. That's a higher level of love. Not based on self, based on God. And although this is Moses' love, we can all have some shade of this type of love. Why? Because have we not all one Father? That's like a nice Jewish rhetorical question. Let me just state it not as a question but as a statement. We all have one Father. That's a statement. That's a statement of truth. We have one God, one Father. So if Moses could love God more than he loved himself, you and I have the same Father. We can be like our sibling Moses, so to speak, and also love God more than ourselves. And although one may ask, so who is the person, who is the man, and where is he, who would dare presume in his heart to approach and attain even a 1,000th part of the degree of love felt by Moses? A person might say, what, you expect me to love God like Moses loved God? More than his own love for self, more than his own self-love, he loved God. So if Moses did it, I should do it. Who am I to stand in the shoes of Moses, the faithful shepherd, the Rai Mehemna? Although that might be justified for a person to ask, nevertheless, don't worry, Tanya, the Alter Rebbe knew what you were going to ask. When he says that love God like Moses, he knew you were going to ask, but I'm not Moses. Don't worry, take it easy. Here we go, here's the answer. Nevertheless, a minute portion and particle, an element of his great goodness and light, Moses' goodness and light, illumines, lights up the community of Israel in each generation, as is stated in the Tikkunim Zohar, that an emanation from him, Moses, is present in every generation to illumine them. In other words, Moses' soul and spirit and energy and life force and divine service, a little bit of that, a little spark of that, shines within each of us. Each of us has a little bit of Moses in us. And therefore, just like Moses loved God more than his own life, you and I can also have that possibility on some level. Remember, there are a lot of gradations when it comes to love. On some level, to love God more than we even love our own selves. Only, it's just that the glow from Moses' soul that we each possess is present in the souls of all Israel in a manner of great obscurity and concealment. So we have it, just the catch is it's concealed. But to bring forth this hidden love from its latency and concealment to a state of revelation, so that it will be manifest in his heart and mind, is, quoting once again the book of Deuteronomy, Lo neflesahi, v'lo rechaikehi, kikar v'elecha davar ma'od, etc. It's not beyond reach, it's not from afar, it's not far off, but it's very close to you in your mouth and in your heart. And I'll add the rest of the words to do it. In other words, what he's saying is that we have this higher level of love, loving God more than we even love ourselves, like a child who loves a parent. This is the level of love of Moses toward God. And although we're not Moses, we have a piece of Moses. But although we have a piece of Moses, it's hidden. But we all have the ability to open it up and to reveal it. That is to say, back inside, it should be habitual with his tongue and voice. We have to train ourselves. We have to get into the habit to arouse the intention of his heart and mind. For the sound of one's voice arouses the devout concentration of heart and mind, so as to immerse his thought in the life of life, the blessed Ein Sof. For he is literally our true Father and the source of our life, and to awaken our love for him like the love of a son for his father. And understand what he's saying here. What he's saying is, if you train yourself, if you make it a habit of yours, with your mouth, with your words, to speak about loving God, to speak about how God is our Father, God is our parent, God is taking care of us. If we think these thoughts and say those words, what will follow is opening up that capacity of love on that level that we each have inside of us. If we don't do the work, it could very well remain in a hidden state. If you want to bring it out into the open, you have to reveal it with your mouth. Let me explain the depth of that. You see, a thought or a meditation that stays inside your head still could remain hidden on a behavioral level. The moment you say it, the moment you verbalize and articulate it, is the moment that, at least within the processes of the human being themselves, they've taken something inside and moved it outside. In words, it's the first step to moving outside. Not action yet, but in words. And he says that serves, that movement from inside the head to outside the lips, to verbalize it, even if you're the only person in the room, the fact that you're saying it out loud, the fact that you're verbalizing it, that makes it real, and that brings it open. And that opens up what's inside the soul, which is the capacity to love God more than oneself. That opens that channel up and reveals it and makes it manifest for us all, or for each of us individually. Let's continue inside. And when one accustoms himself to this continually, the person meditates and verbalizes the meditation about God being our Father, our parent, and loving God more than even ourselves, when we think that and say that, well, habit will become nature. And what that means is, if you do something enough times, it becomes ingrained in your being, and it becomes inseparable from who you are. So, if we want to be the type of people that love God, that are ready to do something for God, even when it's uncomfortable for ourselves, we're willing to go out on a limb because it's the right thing to do, and we're not thinking about selfish considerations and, well, how does it benefit me the whole time, but we're thinking about what's good for the cause. If that's how we want to live our lives, then we can train ourselves through meditation and verbalizing the meditation to get to that place of love. And even if, he continues to say, it appears to him at first sight like this is an illusion. In other words, yeah, you're saying it. I love God. God is my Father in heaven. I'm dedicated to God even more than my own dedication to self. And if you think, like, what's the point of saying it? It's fake. It's fake news. It's an illusion. It's not real. Even if you think that, he says, keep on going. He need not be concerned, because it is intrinsically the absolute truth, even without his own spiritual service, by virtue of the hidden love which the soul possesses for God. It's not true. You're not a hypocrite, like I started this class. You're not a hypocrite by saying that you love God more than you love yourself. That is the natural state of your soul. Because you have a piece of Moses inside of you, that is the absolute natural state of your soul. The fact that you don't feel that, constantly, that's the aberration. That's the distortion. The distortion is not love of God. The distortion is love of self. So say what you really feel, and then you'll really feel it. right? Talk yourself into the feeling, to the emotion, like I said before. Get that manual clutch vehicle in motion, put it on the incline, on the downward move, and then you'll kickstart the emotion that comes afterwards, because it's inside of you. That love of God, that fierce love of God, like a child loves a parent even more than their own selves, willing to dedicate themselves with self-sacrifice, Mesirat Nefesh, giving their own life, if that's what it takes, to be there for their parent. We all have that capacity for what's right. We have the capacity to not care about what it costs us and to do what's right anyway. We all know stories of people who were willing to sacrifice and did sacrifice themselves for what they believed to be right. Especially when it comes to God. Especially when it comes to the highest of truths. And that's what we're talking about here tonight. A love of God that's not, I love God because God makes me alive. You're not going to sacrifice yourself. There's no Mesirat Nefesh, there's no self-sacrifice on that first level of love. Because if the love is based on the fact that you want to live, it will never compel you to go against your comfort zones. I hope what I'm saying makes sense. If the foundation of your love is level 1 love that we discussed tonight, just like I want to wake up in the morning, just like I want to be healthy, just like I want to be revived, right? So the same way I love God, what that means is my love of God is contingent, or it's limited to my love of self. So if at any point God interferes with my own comfort, well, God's got to find someone else, because I love God insofar as God helps me be comfortable. But if we love God like a child loves a parent, on the level of love and dedication, more than they're dedicated and love their own lives. In other words, it's not about me, it's totally about them. And a child is ready to sacrifice his or her own life for his parents' well-being. If that's the love that we have, like that Moses' love for God, if that's the love that we have for God, then we're ready to do something bold. We're ready to go against our own comfort and do something truly remarkable, do something that God wants us to do, even if it costs us something. I'm not saying the ultimate sacrifice, but even if it costs money, time, effort, energy, conviction, a voice, a stance, right? Whatever it costs us, we're willing to do. Why? Because it's for God. That's the higher level of love. And you don't think you have it, you have it. It's inside of you. It's there. You just have to uncover it. How do you uncover it? Talk yourself into it. Think yourself into it. You're not being hypocritical. You have it inside of you. Get the ball rolling. What does this mean practically? Let's back inside. This means being occupied with the Torah and mitzvot, which he studies and performs as a result of it, with the intention, as a result of this love, with the intention of causing gratification to God, like a son serving his father. What it means on a daily basis, he's giving you and I an actionable item. He's saying, all the theory is wonderful, but if it's too big, no one's going to do anything about it. So let me give you, he says, an actionable item. Put this on your to-do list tomorrow or even today. Study Torah, do a mitzvah, and have your intention. It's all about the intention. The intention should be not that I like Torah study or I find this mitzvah meaningful. Nope. The intention should be causing gratification to God, like a son serving his father. The son wakes up in the morning and makes his father breakfast and brings it to his father. Not because the son wants the breakfast, but because the father wants the breakfast. So practice this. Practice tomorrow. Tonight's already getting a little bit late. Tomorrow, study some Torah with the kavanah, with the intention. I'm doing this to cause God nachas, to give God pleasure. A child hopefully wants to give nachas, pleasure to the parent. Let's give God a little bit of nachas by studying Torah. Let's do a mitzvah tomorrow. Let's wrap tefillin tomorrow. Give tzedakah before Shabbat. Light Shabbat candles. Eat something kosher. And have the intention, not I like it, I want it, it tastes good to me, it's going to make it be meaningful to me. Forget you. I'm not going to forget you, but you forget you, right? And do it for God. And that should be your intention. He says this is transformative. It's not a little bit of a change. It's a radical transformation. Concerning this, back inside, we're almost done tonight. Concerning this, it was said that a good thought, machshava tova, a good thought, is joined by the Holy One, blessed be He, to a deed, providing it with the wings to soar upwards, as explained earlier. So what he's saying here is the intention, your kavanah. I'm studying Torah to give God nachas. I'm wrapping tefillin to give God nachas. That intention, to give God pleasure, I'm doing it for God. That intention of the mind connects itself to the deed that we're doing and lifts it up higher and higher and higher. And what nachas? You can see it, the Hebrew, it says nachas. What nachas are we giving God? Well, he offers two approaches as to what joy and satisfaction, what are we actually doing for God? So he says two ways to understand it. The gratification he provides God is akin, by way of the illustration used earlier, to the joy of a king whose son returns to him after liberation from captivity. Imagine a son, the prince, who's captured by the enemy, and the king doesn't see the prince for years, and then the prince triumphantly returns. Can you imagine how happy the... Second. Can you imagine how happy the king will be when the prince returns? That's how God feels when we do a mitzvah, when we study Torah. God's like, I got my kid back. He's back, or she's back, and better than ever, and studying Torah for me. God is kvelling, God loves it. Or alternatively, he says, God's gratification may be from the fact that it has been made possible for him to have a habitation, a home among mortals, as already mentioned in chapter 36 and 37, which we did not study together in this group. Why did God create the world? To have a dira b'tachtonim, to have a home below. So every time we study Torah and do a mitzvah, it creates a home. It makes God welcome amongst us on planet Earth, and that's what God loves. And all we want to do is give God nachas, so we do it. So let's summarize what we explored today. Number one, inside outside. There's what we do, and there's what we feel. The most important thing in life is doing the right thing. But it's also helpful to feel something while we're doing it. We spoke about the notion of different levels of feelings. We might have categories, but everyone feels a little bit different. We all do the same stuff, assuming we're doing the same stuff. On an action level, it's equivalent. You wrap tefillin, Moses wraps tefillin, Yankel Shmuel wraps tefillin, everybody's wrapping tefillin, same mitzvah. Matzah, shofar, as I said before, same thing. But the kavanah, the intention, the feeling, the emotion, that's where distinctions lie. We said that we focused on two types of love tonight that he says are attainable for every single person. Number one, loving God because he is your soul. Right? My God, or my soul, I yearn for you at night, something like that, right? So we explained that just like we yearn for our own, we want to wake up in the morning and we want to not feel so faint, we want to feel alive, well, then love God the same way, because God's the soul of the universe. That's one level of love, and we said the higher level of love is loving God like Moses, like a child who loves the parent more than their own life. It's not like I love me, therefore I love you, it's I love you more than me. That's a higher level of love. This is also attainable. We have it inside of us, and we access it when we push ourselves to do a mitzvah, not for personal gain or benefit, not out of personal considerations, but solely because it gives nachas to God. How does it give nachas to God? How does it give pleasure to God? Either we're back, the prince is back, or the princess is back, or because we're building God's home, and that's what God wants. Hope this made sense tonight. Hope you enjoyed the first part of chapter 44. I look forward to continuing. Important scheduling announcement. We will not be studying next Thursday, because next Thursday, hopefully Mashiach will come. And when Mashiach comes, then we'll celebrate the 9th of Av as a Yom Tiv, as a day of celebration. And we'll be able to have our Tanya study live broadcast from the Holy Temple. If, God forbid, Mashiach has not come yet, so we'll have the observance of the 9th of Av, which is a fast day. And this time, right about this time next week, the fast will be coming to an end, the 24 or 25 hour fast. And thus, I will probably not be in the condition to give an hour-long Tanya class. So we will be taking a hiatus, unless we have good news. We'll be taking a hiatus for a week and pick it up in 2 weeks as we continue chapter 44. So that's just a scheduling announcement. At this point, you can unmute yourselves at any point, but certainly now you can unmute yourselves, ask any questions, any comments. Feel free. Shoot.
Well, Rabbi, at one place it talked about the soul and the spirit. When we first started the class, are they the same? Are they...
Generally speaking, I'm not being precise in my language between soul and spirit. For me, I'm interchanging them. In Kabbalah, there is nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yechida. The soul has 5 dimensions, 5 names, and they do refer to different levels of reality. But in my more casual, colloquial conversation, I did not have any specific delineation in mind. Before we continue with our discussion of Tanya, I did want to mention one small announcement, and that is Sunday evening, 7 p.m., we are going to be having the most remarkable event, Underground Secrets of the Temple Mount. You and I cannot visit Israel right now because the borders are closed to tourists, etc. But we can virtually visit Israel and discover and uncover secrets buried for 2,000 years, secrets that show and demonstrate the most incredible things about Jewish life and Jewish history. You do not want to miss this. It's with the Jewish Indiana Jones, Rabbi Avram Stolik, who is a renowned Israel archaeological expert. Sunday evening, you don't want to miss this. Join us. If you signed up and you didn't get the login information, don't worry. It's going out, please God, tomorrow. You don't need to sign up again. I got you. If I got you, I got you. If you haven't signed up, or if you haven't told at least 5 people about it, well, then what are you waiting for? Even if you signed up, you have to tell 5 people about it. That's the rule. It's in the fine print, which you can't read. 5, 6 people? No. 5 plus 1? Okay. 5, 7. Do I hear 8? All right. We could.
6.
Huh?
I told 6.
Oh, you did? Good. I love that. So share the word. It's going to be a powerful event. Anyway, more surprises coming. If you're joining, you'll get all the surprises. If not, I can only do my best. So Sunday evening, 7 p.m., sign up for that. Also,
It's at 7 p.m.
I believe 7 p.m., yeah. What else did I want to say? Okay, I'm working on some amazing things. Courses, new lectures. Gematria, yeah. But who's counting? Numerology course is coming up, right? You like how I did. Numerology course is coming up on the 10th of August. The Jewish course of why not? It's coming up on the 4th of August. 2 courses that will be amazing. But again, I have other stuff that's under wraps. Okay, David. This is the message for David. Because David, you and I have talked about this. I was in communication.
Really?
Huh?
He's coming?
Well, yes. So I finally got a thumbs up availability. So it looks like it's going to happen. But now it's about topic. So are you okay with going on the website? And I don't want to give you more work, but I do want to give you work. And give me some options. And I might not necessarily go with those options. But I just want to know what you would like.
So you look at his website and see what topics he talks about?
Yeah, based on like what's up there.
When do you think it's going to happen? Because maybe we want to do it timely with the seasons.
I know. So I don't know. It's hard to say. My thought is possibly right before the high holidays or after the holidays. I know that's a difference, but I think it's going to be or maybe Hanukkah. I want to do it in the first few months of the year. So, I mean, like the next few months. So that is...
He has some amazing Hanukkah lectures.
Okay, so maybe we could do that. Okay, so look, see what you can find. See a few things, different categories. Again, I'm not looking to give you work, but as a fan of the good rabbi, so I figure maybe you're a good resource for this. Anyway, David and I are talking about, and I'm glad you're all listening because it's all going to be very relevant to you all very soon, all y'all. There's a rabbi, Rabbi Kiva Tatz, who's a South African rabbi who lives in London, lives in England, and he is absolutely incredible. One of the upsides of the world that we live in right now is that we now have access. I mean, it takes a while to get access. It's not as easy as I'm about to make it sound, but I'm able, with a lot of persistence and angling, to get access to a lot of talent that would otherwise be extremely difficult. I've been trying to get Rabbi Tatz for literally years now, 2 or 3 years. And when I write the words, are you up to doing a Zoom event, suddenly doors are opening. I'm just saying that there's a little bit more of a, hopping on a plane from London to Atlanta for an evening is a little bit hard for every party involved, but this, thank God. Not that it's not challenging on many levels, but it's much more doable. So anyway, I'm just bringing you into the conversation.
I have one more question for you before we end. Math is not my strong point. Will I be getting much out of numerology?
Say it again. What's not your strong point? Math.
Math.
Yeah. Don't worry. You can bring a calculator. You don't have to show your work. It's fine. And it's not going to be. We're only using real numbers, no imaginary numbers. So I think you're fine. You'll be good. The point will be to show how the divine code of the universe, which we know are the Hebrew letters, right? That's the matrix of the universe. The numerology holds incredible information. Parenthetically, I was driving, who can tell anymore, yesterday, driving back home, and was listening to a podcast. They were talking about the fellow who created the universal purchasing code. Is that what it stands for? UPC code? You don't talk about UPC, the barcodes? Yes?
Yeah.
Barcodes. I think it stands for UPC. I think it stands for Universal Purchasing Code, I believe. Someone Google that, please. The fellow who invented that was like a mathematician, a scientist, an inventor, a problem solver, who figured out how to...
Universal Products Code.
Product code. Thank you. Universal Product Code. He figured out how to turn information into ones and zeros, which happens to be the forerunner of the technology of CDs and other sorts of digital information, computing, etc. So here's the point. I don't know what the point is anymore. We were talking about the code of creation. So we're gonna interpret the code of creation, turning the Hebrew letters into the zeros and ones and more of the universe. I think you'll enjoy it. Adina Malka, look, you can always check out the first one if you want. Just email me. I'll give you access to the first one. You can try it out. Try before you buy. If you like it, continue. If not, listen. It was worth a shot, right? You're just giving up an hour and a half of your week. So
thank you. I'll take you up.
But you have to email me so I can get you on the list. Otherwise, you know me. If it's not written, even if it is written, but if it's not written, there's no way. So yes, please email me and I will get you on that coveted VIP. Very important numerologist. That's a VIN. Anyway, that's the VIN number. Email. All right, good. So any other questions?
Ari,
yes,
Rabbi Ari,
Linda.
Do we have anything coming up this coming Tuesday? Because the class of Y doesn't start till the following Tuesday, right?
Yeah. So this Tuesday is actually a little bit quiet.
Because it's right before.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. It's just, I'm looking at my calendar now. 1 second. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. No? Yeah, it's kind of quiet. We have Sunday. We have the Sunday event. I may do a film event on Wednesday night or Thursday, which is the 9th of Av, one or both.
Okay.
But I'll let you know. We're still up in the air on that a little bit.
And are you still thinking about sometime doing? You mentioned something like a Kabbalistic jewelry making.
Yeah, that's happening. Yeah, you could put that on your calendars. It's done. I mean, it's locked in. That's August 31st. Kabbalistic jewelry making, and I have to tell you, I'm very excited about this. So it's 108 gemstones. You will be receiving. Either you pick it up or we can mail it out, for a few extra bucks. A kit with gemstones. You choose your Kabbalistic energy based on, how the Sefirot, you ever see the Tree of Life? I'm sure you've all on some level seen the tree of life. There's right, left, and center, right? So the sphirot are aligned, right, left, center, right, left, center, right, left, center. So there's right side energy, left side energy, centrist energy, and based on your energy, how you feel like you're either right, left, or center. I don't mean politically or anything. I mean on an energy level, on Kabbalistic energy level. So based on that, there's different color palettes, and you can create jewelry based on your spiritual energy palette, and it's going to be fabulous. So
That's so cool.
and if you wear a necklace, it's for you. If you don't wear a necklace, then get one and make one for someone else. That's it. That's it. So if you're like, oh, I don't wear a necklace, like I don't wear a necklace. I'm still gonna make a necklace, right? Because I got people who will wear a necklace. That's it. Straight up. That's how we roll. I got Riva. Where are you? Call Riva. Call Riva. Why not? This is, for example, someone who could wear a necklace. Ah, Nate. Oh, you guys can say hi to each other. Hold on. How old is Nate?
2.
2. All right. So come here.
Get more of that.
Here, meet Riva. Riva's 4. But who's
Riva.
counting? Ah, there we go.
Oh,
Riva, say
Riva.
hi. Look at this.
Hi.
There you go.
Hi, Reva.
Riva's in
Hi,
PJs.
Dave. Hi, Reva.
Of course, you guys are 3 hours in Las Vegas. You guys are 3 hours behind, so it's like early by you. Riva, though, Miss Night Owl, right?
Yeah.
Okay. See you later, alligator. Have
Hi,
fun.
Riva.
Yes, alligator. All right, that's it for tonight, folks. Thank you for joining me. It is great to see you.
Thank
Wishing you a
you.
Shabbat Shalom. Stay healthy. Oh, one more thing. For those of you that are Ollie participants, we're launching an Ollie course soon. I know Stan, you are, so stay tuned for that. That information is going to come out soon.
What is that?
Bye. We'll see you all.
Class. Thank you.
Rabbi
Thank
Ari,
you.
what is
Yeah.
that?
Oh, Ollie is the
What-
Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. It's a mouthful. It's basically for participants, I think 55 and over. It's affiliated. It's a national, maybe even international group. It's all about adult learning, not necessarily Jewish. And it's locally, they affiliate with universities. Locally, there's
Got it.
a branch affiliated with Emory and Kennesaw. I teach Torah courses affiliated with Emory. So right now
Yeah,
we're doing
okay.
stuff online. Yeah.
Will you send out an email to us so that we'll know about the course? you're
Possibly. I
teaching?
mean, I don't really handle any of that stuff myself. I just come and teach, and they have. You know what? If you email me when I get the information about the registration, I'm happy to forward that along. It's going to be through their website. But
The
yeah,
website is OLLI at Emory.
there you go.
Pretty good comprehensive website.
Yeah, if you Google Ollie,
great.
OLLI Emory, you should be
Yeah.
able to find it. Yeah. And
Okay,
I'm sure you can
that's
sign up to be on their email list, and then they'll send out an email when the registration is going to start up. But it's really fabulous. They have all sorts of fun courses. It's more fun when it's I think when it's in person. There's like nice atmosphere and everyone gets together. But listen, this is where we're at, so we're doing it. All right, Laila Tov, everyone. Have a wonderful Shabbat. Daily Power Parsha Sunday. Tomorrow at 12. Take care. Thank you,
Rabbi
Steve.
Ari.
Thank you.